Hello guys and a few girls and welcome! My name is Sorin and today I will show you how to make a simple and almost cheap spot welder at home. This is the magical kit I'm using. It's not a sponsored video. I paid $11 plus shipping for this kit. So this video is also an honest review. The circuit board looks nice. It has thick threads on both sides. It looks better than the older versions, which are not very good. So let's hope this new version is better. You need to solder a few components on the board, so this is a semi-DIY project. A capacitor, a buzzer, and if you want to extend the LED and button, you can add pin headers. This kit does not work with a microwave oven transformer. It only needs a powerful 12 volts battery, so it's much simpler. You can use a lead acid battery, but I prefer something smaller, so I got this high quality 3S lithium polymer battery, with a nominal voltage of 11.1 volts and maximum 12.6 volts. It has a capacity of 3500 mAh, which is more than enough. But the most important feature is the discharge rate of 60C. It can deliver a maximum current of 210 amps for 1 minute. And the spot welding kit needs between 90 and 130 amps. So you can buy a smaller battery if you want, but why would you do that? For $1 or $2 less? In time, lithium batteries lose some capacity, and I plan to use this spot welder for a long time. So in my opinion, this battery pack is the best choice. Let's test this battery. I never charged it. This is the charge level it was shipped with. Each cell has 3.84 volts. This is perfect. I have two car light bulbs here. Let's connect them in parallel to the battery. 7.5 amps, and the battery voltage barely moved. I like this battery. To monitor the battery, you can use a simple 3S battery level indicator, or a voltmeter with low voltage alarm, or for this video, both. This voltmeter is easy to install. Just plug it into the battery balancing connector. You can check the total voltage and the voltage of each cell, so you know if the cells are balanced. But let's get back to the spot welding kit. I need to solder these two components on the board. The circuit board could have come with all the components already soldered. I don't know why they left these two. It's not like they saved any space. All the components were in the same package anyway. They probably want us to solder the last two components, so we feel like it's a fully DIY project. But let's be honest, this project is just a couple of modules put together. The most important thing is it any good? This board needs minimum 90 amps to work correctly, but the terminal lug they gave me is rated at 20 amps. Well, at least it's pure copper. It's the same thing with the battery. With a 60C discharge rate it can deliver 210 amps, but it came with a XT60 plug, which is rated for 60 amps or a little more. So what's up with that? For now I will use these connectors, but in the future I will probably change them with XT90 plugs. These soldering joints must carry a lot of amps, so don't be cheap with the solder. Also they need to be insulated with heat shrink tubes. On the circuit board side of the connector I added two more thin wires to the negative terminal. One of them goes to a balance connector and will turn on the voltmeter. The second wire is actually not needed and I will remove it later. These lugs are rated at a lower current, so after crimping them I will add some solder. I'm using a powerful soldering gun and good quality solder, so it should enter easily, fill all the gaps and make a good contact between the wire and the lug. But if you use thicker wires and bigger copper lugs, you don't need to add any solder. For a good contact, the copper lugs should also be cleaned with fine sandpaper. In my opinion, the heat shrink tubes they put in the package are too big for these welding rods, so I will use my own smaller tubes. They fit better. Now I can connect the leads using the nuts and bolts from the kit. And this is how it should look in the end. This is the first time I will connect the battery, so I think I should wear some protective goggles. Nothing has exploded so far, and the green light is on. This is a good sign. It has only one button, it's used to toggle between the 5 power levels. With each click, the number of beeps and flashes increases according to the power level. I forgot to remove the buzzer cover, that's why you barely heard it. There we go, thank you, yes, much more annoying now. In the package there is also a 0.1 mm thick nickel strip. I will use it to test the first power level. You just need to press the 2 welding rods on the nickel strip and wait for a second. And there you go, it works. Let's see how strong the welding points are. Very weak, but this is the first setting. I will try it again and increase the power to the 3rd level. 3 beeps and 3 flashes, we are good to go. This is better, now we can see some sparks. The welds appear to be very strong. I can't separate them with my bare hands. Let me get some pliers. The nickel strip is ripped apart, so these welds are very strong. I want to test it with the maximum setting, but first I must charge the battery. I never charged it so far. It was only partially charged for shipping. So far everything is cold, but that's about to change later. Before start working, I want to thank all my patrons for their support. If you want to become a patron and have access to more DIY videos and updates about my future projects, just click up here. It's time to start building. What other components do we need? Let me consult my assistant. I also need a box for this project, so I got this small and simple fuse box from a local hardware store. The interior of the box needs some modifications first. I need to find the best position for each component. There must be a lot of space between them, because they may get hot. I will cut the plastic parts I don't need. For some of these parts I will use my cat, and if that doesn't work I will finish the job with my small and underpowered rotary tool. In the front side I need 2 big holes for the welding rods. All the holes and cutouts are finished. The circuit board will be mounted on these metal standoffs. I just need some CD-ROM screws to fix them in position. The standoffs are mounted. Next, the circuit board. I soldered some pin headers to extend the LED and button. The circuit board is mounted in this weird position because I could not get it closer to the front panel, and the welding cables are very short. The battery pack will be fixed in position with sticky foam tape. I made these extension wires for the LED and button. I have the parts from a broken PC motherboard. This was the reset button. I will use super glue gel to stick it in position. The LED is easy to mount, just force it into the 5 mm hole. I soldered 2 sets of balance leads, one to charge the battery and the second one for the low voltage alarm. I will stick the BMS board in the opposite corner. This is the charging plug. It will be mounted in the back of the box. I just need to tighten this nut, but not too much. It can break the plastic connector. I like these rubber pads. I use them a lot in my projects. The balance leads are very fragile, so I use some electrical tape and fix them to this big plastic standoff. This balance connector goes to the battery indicator and low voltage alarm, and the second one will charge and balance the lithium cells. The interior is finished. You probably noticed that I could have used a smaller box, as I usually do in my projects, and cram all the components inside. Like I did in my powerbank video. This powerbank works with maximum a few amps, and all the cells have fuses for protection, so it's okay. But the lithium polymer battery in the spot welding box can deliver up to 210 amps, and I can't protect it with fuses, so all the components need some space around them in case they heat up. Also in the future I may replace this LiPo battery with a lithium iron phosphate battery, and those cells are bigger. The two battery indicators are connected together, so they will be turned on with only one negative wire. And I will place them on this small plastic panel using sticky foam tape. The spot welding box is theoretically finished. I will connect the battery now and test everything. But I forgot to unsolder one of the buzzers from the low voltage alarm. And the beeps are too loud. So I will stuff them with small pieces of foam. Much better now. Now I want to fully discharge the battery, to see how the spot welding circuit board is reacting. But using it only on the nickel strips will take too long to discharge this battery. I need a bigger load. I'm using the two light bulbs connected to the input/output of the BMS. The battery is connected to the BMS board only with those thin balance wires, which cannot carry a lot of current. So I connected the light bulbs in series, not parallel. This way they will draw less than 2 amps. Even though the battery is almost discharged, it can still make some powerful welds, while also powering the light bulbs. Look at these holes, the nickel strips are totaled. But what about the battery? After 15 minutes we can hear the low voltage alarm. This alarm tells me to stop using the spot welder and connect the charger. And after a few seconds, the over discharge protection feature of the BMS board turns off the light bulbs. Most lithium cells have a minimum discharge voltage of 2.5 volts, but it's not recommended to fully charge or fully discharge them. For a longer lifespan you should not discharge the cells lower than 20%, but for this test I will keep using the spot welder to see what happens. You can see that the battery is discharged, the light bulbs are turned off by the BMS, but the spot welding circuit keeps on going because it's connected directly to the battery. The battery is getting dangerously low, so I will stop this test. The circuit board doesn't have any low battery protection feature, and I don't want to damage this new battery. It's time to charge the battery. This is a 12.6 volts and 2 amps charger. I will measure the charging voltage and current with my DIY volt/ammeter. After I connect the charger, the voltage is starting to increase, but the current doesn't go up to 2 amps. I tested the charger with a ceramic resistor and it cannot deliver 2 amps. This is actually a good thing, because the battery is charged only through the balance leads, which are very thin. They may get hot with 2 amps. If you have an IMAX B6 charger, you can use it to charge the battery, and you no longer need the BMS board. But I prefer my devices to have their own individual chargers. I may use them and charge them in different locations, so each device will need its own charger. After 2 hours and 40 minutes, the battery is charged to around 90%. You can see the green LED on the charger is lit. The BMS board is using very little current now to balance the cells. But another hour has passed away and the charging current has not yet dropped to zero. I'm bored, so I will stop the charging process now. To extend the lifespan of the lithium battery, it's recommended to charge it to 80% or maximum 90%. For me 90% is enough, so when the green light is on, I will disconnect the charger. If the lithium cells get unbalanced in time, I will let the BMS board balance the cells for as long as it needs. If you don't use the spot welder for 10 minutes, the circuit board automatically turns off. You need to press the button for 2 seconds. But for long time storage, I still prefer to fully disconnect the battery, just to be sure. The spot welder is finished, I just need to tighten the last 2 screws. And now it's time to weld some lithium cells. We already know that it works very well with 0.1mm nickel strips. Let's see if it can handle this 0.15mm strip. I will set it to maximum power, of course. Let's say I want to make a 3S 2P battery pack. The welds look and feel powerful, but are they strong enough? I need to be very careful with these nickel strips. I don't want to lose any skin. It appears to be good enough. Also, these are some very old cells. I cleaned the terminals with sandpaper, but with new cells the welding points will probably be better. This is a 0.2 mm thick nickel strip. What, you don't think it will work? You are right, the welding points are very weak. In my opinion, the best results are with nickel strips with a thickness of 0.1 or 0.12 mm. But let's make a battery pack using 0.12 mm nickel strips. Let's see that again in slow motion, shall we? And now let's break these nice welds to see how strong they are. The welding points are very strong, the nickel strip cannot be separated from the cell, it's just ripped apart. 0.12 mm nickel strips are the best choice, the welds are very strong even on these deteriorated terminals. I really like my spot welder. All the components for this project cost me around $68, including shipping, which is pretty expensive during this pandemic period. If you want to build a similar spot welder, I suggest you use thicker cables for the welding leads. They get warm after a few minutes of use at maximum power. Replace the 20 amps lugs with more powerful ones and the XT60 connectors with XT90. So, this is my homemade spot welding machine. I really like it and I will use it a lot in my future videos. No more soldering on the lithium cells. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share and subscribe to my channel. Bye!